Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for some pre-modern action. Today we are doing something incredibly spicy. This is a deck that I like to call the Sleeper Hold, and it's a bit of a brew that I have come up with over the last sort of couple of weeks. Essentially what the deck is trying to do is win with the card Sleeper Agent. So this is a 1 mana 3/3, but when it enters, target opponent gains control of it, and at the beginning of the upkeep, it deals 2 damage to whoever controls it. So we're going to play this and deal our opponent damage, but how are we going to get these cards going and making enough of it? Well, that's where the Oath of Druids comes in. This means that we can play a Sleeper Agent, it goes to our opponent, and then we have less creatures than our opponent, so we go and get a Sleeper Agent. It goes to our opponent, so we fish out all of the Sleeper Agents from our deck, and our opponent just takes a bunch of damage. Now, they do have some 3/3s, so how are we going to deal with that? Well, we have got Moment's Peace. This is a fog effect with flashback, which is pretty tasty. We have the Constant Mist, which is a fog effect with buyback, so we can just do this over and over again. And then we have a Tangle, which is a fog effect that leaves creatures tapped. So it's kind of like 2 fogs in 1. So we've got 9 fogs in our deck, but 2 of them double up a lot. We also have the Meekstone. So creatures with power 3 or greater don't untap during their controller's untap step. So we get hit once by the Sleeper Agent, and then it's sleeping itself. We have Elephant Grass, which just says no to them being able to attack us, which is great. And then we've had to put some like generically good cards in to make this all fit. So we've got Sylvan Library to find our pieces. We have Duress to attack our opponent's hand. We also have Stupor to attack our opponent's hand. We have a lot of stuff to stop creatures dealing damage to us. So having the Stupor here means that we end up with a little bit more action for the decks that aren't committing to the board as much. We have a 1/1 Phyrexian Furnace, which is just good to have, and it cycles. And we got a couple of Naturalizes. Because we are playing 2 Gaea's Blessing in our deck, this means that we can go infinitely, right? So our deck mills over, and then we shuffle everything back in. We mill over, shuffle everything back in. So having one-offs of things, if the game's going long enough, this will be good enough to get us going where we need to go. I did consider having Ancestors Chosen instead of the Akroma here, but I think the Akroma is just like a nice big threat that flies over the top of these Sleeper Agents, domes them for 6, and then maybe the Sleeper Agents finish them off. So that's kind of what we're trying to achieve here. In our mana base, though, we have got 8 mana lands. We're really indexing heavily on these mana lands, which I think is going to be important. We have a 1/1 Dust Bowl that we can use to strip our opponent's lands, and then when we Gaea's Blessing all our lands back in our deck, we're going to have more lands that we can then throw away. We've got a couple of fetch lands here so that we can shuffle underneath the Sylvan Library. These aren't fixing, they can only get 1 colour, but they will be helping us with our libraries. Sideboard-wise, we've got a couple of different Oath targets. So we've got Ancestor Chosen and a Phantom Nishoba when we need to gain life in certain matchups. We have another Stupor, so we can get up to 4 Stupor when all of our fogs and stuff aren't really doing the work. Against creature matchups, we've got a very spicy one for you. Wall of Souls. It's a 2 mana 0/4 wall. Whenever this creature is dealt combat damage, it deals that much damage to target opponent or planeswalker. Obviously, no planeswalkers in the format, but it's still going to deal damage to our opponent, and this is a 0/4. Sleeper Agent is a 3/3. So sometimes we won't have the Oath of Druids, but we will have Wall of Souls, and that's going to be great. Got a few little removal spells here, like a Terror and a Smother. You could have whatever removal spells you want here. I'm not sure the exact configuration here. We've got a second piece of Graveyard Hate for when we want that. A couple of like nice big Haymakers here. And Tsunami. They don't make hate cards like this anymore. 4 mana, destroy all islands. Simple, effective, get it, blue players. And that is what we're running today. I don't expect this deck to be like a 4/1 or a 5/0 deck, but we should have a lot of fun with it and work out what doesn't work and what does work, because this is very much a first attempt at a brew. Because if we're going to be allowed to play with one of the more busted cards ever printed, we may as well try and do something really silly and fun with it, right? So that's what we're up to. Okay, remember to like and subscribe, and if you want some more information about the pre-modern format, there is a link in the description of this video doing like an in-depth introduction to the pre-modern format as a whole. Okay, let's do some Sleeper Holds. For free, fast, and secure worldwide shipping on high-end singles, classic products, and full sets, check out 3for1 Trading. Whether it's the legacy or pre-modern that I play on this channel, or even vintage and old school, they've got you covered. Find them through the link in the description of this video and use my code COW3 for free worldwide shipping on your first order over $500 or euros. Okay, this hand is interesting. We have Treetop Village into Oath. We don't have access to black, so that's 2 cards in our hand that we don't have access to right now, but Oath of Druids is an incredibly powerful Magic the Gathering card. We will give it a whirl. So we can just begin on a Treetop Village. This is a plan in and of itself at times. This can also blunt our opponent's attacks. If they've got like 2/2s and stuff, they're not going to run into a Treetop Village very happily. Also, I forgot to mention the deck tech. If we have 2 Mishra's Factories out, we can block a Sleeper Agent and not die. Okay, a Jackal Pup, you say. That makes me not want to use this Wooded Foothills. We've drawn our second Gaia's Blessing, which isn't the one we want there. Okay, we've got an Oath of Druids. Now, giving our opponent more power might be a little bit sketchy. We don't have any fog effects. But this is going to be a matchup where we're going to have some good stuff out the sideboard in the big life gain elements. Now, they're going to have things like Sulfuric Vortex to stop us gaining life, but we know they're going to have that, so we can kind of prepare for it and make sure we got some Naturalizers to hand. I wonder if they're going to play out more creatures. Some of their creatures, things like the Ball Lightnings, obviously don't stick around and help us with our Oath. But we're in a situation where we should be getting something. Oh, yeah, they're just playing into it. They could use this and ping the Jackal Pup, Seal of Fire. They could do this so that we don't get... Yeah, they're doing that so we don't get any Oath triggers. But that's fine by me. That's 2 of our opponent's cards gone. Another Oath of Druids. Okay. I think we are in the... Go and get ourselves a forest. Play a Gaia's Blessing. Shuffling in our Wooded Foothills. We're trying to draw a black source here. Okay. An Akroma, Angel of Wrath. Not necessarily the one we want in hand. So we are certainly drawing all the cards that we want in our deck and not in our hand. 2 Gaia's Blessing and an Akroma. That is a few too many of those objects. So we're going to have to win with the main plan of the Sleeper Agent here. What this does mean as well is that when we mill over our... Okay, Sulfuric Vortex. This doesn't say damage can't be prevented, does it? No, okay. So this means that we're going to mill over at some point our Moment's Peace and have that ready to go. A black source, please. Not a black source. Another green source. So we could just start, like, mashing our opponent here, which I think is what we're supposed to do. This means our opponent's taking 5 a turn, and we're taking 2 at present. Now, that can obviously change. I don't really want to play out a land that costs us life. Right, they just took the damage and passed. It's going to hold up a flurry of burn, I suspect. 4 cards in hand. I think I want to duress my opponent and see what their plan is for our Treetop Village and whether or not we can connect with it. They could just empty their entire hand here. But if we get just 1 card, that's going to be worth it. Alright, 2 cards left in hand. You got Fire Blast as well. A Mog Fanatic and a Mountain. Okay. We will continue the plan. So we're effectively on 5 here. And on our next turn, so we're going to go to 3, and the Mog Fanatic puts us to 2. So we need to attack our opponent for 3, play the Sleeper Agent, so that's going to put them to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're 1 damage shy. Okay, that is a little bit awkward. We're obviously just completely dead to any burn spell in our opponent's hand. Playing out the Mog Fanatic we know about. Is this just going to be 1 damage to the face? I would assume so. The last thing they want to do is let us have an Oath trigger. Because what if we've got something really spooky? Like we could have an Akroma or something that just jumps out and ends the game. I don't think they have lethal here. Otherwise they would not have paused for so long. They would have just had a bolt to the face and let us die to their bits and pieces. So we're going to go to 4 here, which is effectively 2 from Seal of Fire. Llanowar Wastes. That doesn't do it for us. So we bash in with the Treetop Village. We put our opponent to 5. They go to their turn. They go to 3. And they pass to us and we're just dead. If we play this Sleeper Agent, we do put our opponent to 1. But 1 is not enough and I don't think it's worth showing our opponent that. I think we're going to shuffle these in. I don't even know what we're looking for here. A Stupor. That doesn't help us here. Being with this doesn't help us. No, our opponent has got over the line there. Okay, so things are going to be slightly different this time around. So we would like access to Nishoba and Ancestor's Chosen instead of the Akroma. And then we do want the ability to deal with our opponent's creatures sometimes. And we have these Wall of Souls. Do we want these Wall of Souls? Do we care about their creatures coming in? More worried about their burn spells. I don't think the Meekstone does anything here. The Phyrexian Furnace doesn't look very good. The Elephant Grass is okay. I like the Duresses here. They have a lot of burn spells because they're going to be priced into having more burn spells because we have the Oaths rather than going for creatures. I don't think the Stupors make a lot of sense here. I'm not super into the Tangle, but maybe it's okay. So we're currently looking at boarding something like this. That's a lot of creatures for our Oath deck. But if our opponent gets creatures, I don't really mind because the Wall of Souls can just block them. Like, they can go and get something like a Mog Fanatic and ping us is probably like worst case scenario. Actually, no. Ball Lightning's pretty bad for us. Do we need to have a couple of answers for Ball Lightning here? We have prevent damage. That is basically an answer for Ball Lightning, isn't it? Okay, we'll try it like this. We were pretty close to like racing our opponent down there. If we'd have just got one little trigger, we might have been alright. Because we would have put some stuff in the bin to work with as well, like the Moment's Peace. Okay, Sylvan Library is a pretty good Magic the Gathering card. I'm happy to rely on that to help us out. We'll keep this. I think we play the Treetop Village. There is an argument to play the Grand Coliseum first. But I think just the painless mana is where we want to be here. So we want to get this Sylvan Library in. If we have to pivot and play this Wall of Souls, then we can do that. Mountain, Jack up. It's better for us to play this Wall of Souls, or for us to... Yeah, I think now, because what we can do is we can play the Wall of Souls this turn. Next turn we can Duress Library. Alright, so 1 and black. Wall of Souls. This is not a bad answer for the old Ball Lightnings. We take 2, they take 4. It's not bad. Okay, I will block their Mog Fanatic. They're going to bolt down our Wall of Souls. That's soaking up a lot of damage that would be going to our face. Sure. This is not all damage, unfortunately. Okay. Is Oath of Druids better than Sylvan Library? Most likely. Let's Duress our opponent first and see what we're working with. Fire Blast, Sulfuric Vortex, and Ball Lightning. Ball Lightning is something we've already accepted might be problematic for us. Sulfuric Vortex is worth quite a lot of damage. So is a lot of the things in their hand. Right, we take the Sulfuric Vortex, I think. And then we play the Oath. This will force our opponent to ping with their Mog Fanatic. Well, they'll attack us and ping. But it's going to kind of be a removal spell for this. So we don't take recursive damage from it. And then we can try the library, dig for a little sleeper agent. We need to find some of our fog effects somewhere. Yep, this is going to be a pretty painful turn. They also drew a mountain for the turn. So we take 8 here, effectively. So we're going to be at 10, and they're sat there with a Fire Blast in hand. Yep, ping us, and then this dies, and then we don't get our trigger. I want to know what sort of creature complement our opponent is keeping in their deck. Alright, Sylvan Library. And then it's probably just another Treetop Village here. And we'll pass. So this turn they probably deploy the Cursed Scroll and the Barbarian Ring. We can Gaia's Blessing a bunch of cards. Actually, do we get to choose? Target player shuffles up to 3 target cards. Yeah, so we get to choose them. So we can shuffle in like a creature and stuff to keep them off the threshold for the Barbarian Ring. Ideally, I just want to start doing our little combo. Okay, they drew a mountain this turn. So it's probably Cursed Scroll, activate Cursed Scroll. And they got a 50% chance of dealing us 2 damage. We have some Naturalizers in for this. We could have boarded more Naturalizers. I do wish we'd stop drawing these guys' blessings though. That's not what we're supposed to be doing with them. Alright, Sylvan Library, be good to me. Naturalize is pretty good here. The Duress doesn't do anything. The Moment's Peace is potentially useful. Alright, I'm going to take this out. Green and this. Price of Progress is something I'm a bit scared of, but sometimes you just don't have a choice of how you play things. So we get a coin flip to see if we take any damage this turn. Oh, so they're just casting their Fire Blast, so they get the guaranteed damage. That makes a lot more sense. Okay. So then they have a Barbarian Ring. Do I want to shuffle my deck? Or do I want to stop my opponent from having 2 damage off this Barbarian Ring? It's kind of sketchy, isn't it? We're on 4. This will put us to 2. We'll be dead to any burn spell. But if we draw the card that we have underneath, we still see 2 fresh ones with the library though. Okay, I think we have to... Okay, what are we putting back? Mountain can go in, and Mog Fanatic, please. And we draw a Moment's Peace. We're already dead to Price of Progress, so we may as well just have more lands. So I'm going to play out this Barbarian Ring. It doesn't have Threshold for now. That's not going to be the easiest thing to keep them off of. So we can play a Sleeper Agent. We can chump block with a Mishra's Factory, and then we can get a trigger and see if we can find ourselves one of our life gain. Maybe we're not supposed to have... Actually, no, we do need the Sleeper Agents in because that's how we give our opponent a creature for us to trigger our Oath. It's kind of awkward. A Duress that we knew was coming. Ancestors chosen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're not getting where we need to go here, are we? I guess we put back... I should have put them back in the other order, but it doesn't matter for next turn because it's Sylvan Library anyway. So, this activates the factory. This is activated here. We're going to attack for 5. Not really holding up our prevent damage things. But these will only work on ball lightning. Lightning bolt to the dome. Okay, we haven't got a lot of time left in this game. Alright, and we just bolted out. That is the end of the match. That felt very difficult for us there. We're a little bit too fair. And we're just going to get sort of burned out. Alright, on to round 2. Alright, we have the combo. So I guess we keep this. How quickly are we going to die to our sleeper agents we're going to give our opponent? That is the main question. Right, I think we just start things rolling. Enjoy having 3 power in play. I've quadrupled the amount of power our opponent has to attack us with. We're unfortunately going to take 2 hits from it. Maybe we're supposed to get the Oath of Druids in first. We only take 1 hit from it. A Sylvan Safekeeper. Alright. And another elf. Yep, 3 damages. But once we sort of start the ball rolling, I think we should be okay. At least that's my hope for the deck. Get in here, Oath of Druids. Can we put our opponent in the sleeper hold? We will need to find some fog effects, but the Oath of Druids should find us something. Tani's Acolyte, you got it. Our opponent's taken a fair bit of damage from this Carplusan Forest. So I guess the plan is just to keep drawing our... Oh no, have they got enough? They haven't got enough to do the Nantuko, right? They can't shoot it for it, play it, and flip it up and blow up our Oath. But little do they know that we have a second Oath. I would like to get the second Oath down, but I don't know that's a thing we can realistically do. I think we have to hold up some protect our life total situation here. So pitching the squee, getting a Wirewood Symbiote. So they can bounce the Mortani's Acolyte, which is their draw engine, to untap their mana engine and then replay their draw. Pretty good. There's a lot of similarities with elves here to elves in Legacy. Not that elves in Legacy is having a great time right now. Okay, so we'll take 4, but we're going to get our Oath to trigger. Let's have a look at our graveyard. There is a Moment's Peace in there. Cool, we're doing the thing. How much damage is this? 3, 4... Oh wait, we got an Akroma. That wasn't actually the one we wanted, was it? That kind of acts a little bit like a fog effect. So we attack our opponent for 6 here because it's free. They take 2 from the sleeper agent. And then we get to Moment's Peace. Take 2 from this, and then they're dead on board to the Akroma. And we're about to get 2 more sleeper agents into play next turn if they don't delete our Oath. But they have other problems. They probably can't really deal with this Akroma. Are we doing it? Are we doing the thing? Survivor of the fittest. You got it. Good old Moment's Peace. Mastercore. They can use Mastercore to ping their own guys. But it takes a lot of mana to kill a sleeper agent that way. Yeah, I think we're going to get our opponent with sleeper agents here. We're actually going to get them with the Chroma, I suppose. But we'll see what our opponent's up to. Priest of Titania. They don't have the Mountain and the Anger to get themselves haste. Discarding the Phantom Nantuko. To get Yavimaya Granger. This is the one that gets them a Mountain. So then they can discard and get the Anger so their things have haste. But then they're just going to die to all of our nonsense. Alright. We managed to win a game. That is step 1. Cursed Totem looks very good here. The Naturalizers are pretty interesting. This might be a situation where we want these sorts of things. What do we require or not require here? Meekstone and Phyrexian Furnace look bad. I don't particularly like the Stupor here, because our opponent just keeps buying back their stuff and it's really annoying. The Duress can hit Tangle Wire, Survival, and Naturalizes, so I think we need to keep those in. How much do I want to be playing all of these? I guess the fog effects are pretty good here, aren't they? Since they are trying to beat us down. Do we need the Smother and Terror? What are they for? What scary creature are they going to have that I don't know about? No, maybe we don't need those. And is Akroma our best bet? It does swing through in the air and it's very hard for them to deal with. But would I prefer to gain a boatload of life? That is an interesting option. Hard to work that one out, to be honest. Also, Tangle is an interesting one if they do have a creature that can tangle with the Akroma. I'm not even sure that would be, because this has vigilance, so it doesn't stay tapped. Anyway, Elephant Grass is fine. Do we need all of these Naturalizers and all of these Wall of Souls? Maybe we only want 3 Naturalizers? And then that leaves us needing 1 more cut. Do we need Dust Bowl? Like, we need land so we can keep buying back Constant Mist. Do we need all of these Duresses? Or would I actually... I've changed my mind on the Duresses. I would rather have 4 Naturalizers. Because I'd rather be able to blow it up after the fact instead of having to have it at the right time. That makes sense to me. Doesn't mean we have less ways of dealing with our opponent's Naturalizers. This hand looks terrible. It doesn't do any of the things we want to do. Let's mulligan. I love having the Cursed Totem. I kind of would like some green mana, please, deck. How many green sources do we have? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. How long can we play this game without green sources? Not super long. I think I will keep this, though, and try it. Like, the Mishra's Factory is not nothing either. We've got 2 draw steps. And we probably need 3 to hit our green source, so we should be okay. So we have 3 draw steps before we miss a land anyway. Look, we immediately find it. Lovely. Am I going to play out a Mishra's Factory? I think so. I think it's more important to get the Cursed Totem in before doing anything else. Priest of Titania. Sylvan Library. Yeah, that's a good card, isn't it? I'm going to bash us for 1. They're going to play a Wirewood Symbiote, though. Okay. We're going to turn that off now. Look at that. We're just getting all the lands we want. Boom. Cursed Totem. Now that is a hate card. No activated abilities of any creatures, even if they're mana. So they're still just going to play out a bunch of guys, but that kind of plays into what our deck wants to do anyway. I don't want to see a Tangle Wire here. Alright. So they could still play Cradle and then play a Tangle Wire. That's like the worst case scenario for us. It's a morph. Okay. Interesting. Are they going to blow up our Cursed Totem or our Oath of Druids? And do we want to give our opponent that opportunity? I don't think we do. I think we want them to blow us up. So this is an activate ability. It's a special action. So it doesn't even use the stack. You just pay to morph because that's the only way that they could make hidden information like this work in the rules. We're going to get them to burn this on the Cursed Totem. And then we can deploy the Oath holding up Constant Mists. And then we're just kind of in the zone then. The zone of making our opponent sad. My favourite zone. 3 cards left in our opponent's hand. But obviously have libraries, they can find whatever they need. Would I trade my Mishra's Factory for this guy? I don't think so. I just take the 2. Are they going to morph it up and deal me 3? No. Are they not going for the unmorphing? Yeah, smart. Okay. So... play this one out. Crack this. We might as well crack them. Do we need to crack them both? Oh, do we not have another forest here? That is a huge mistake if we don't. Whoops. That is a horrible bit of deck building. Okay. Let's get Wall of Souls in, I suppose. We can't have only 1 forest. Huh. Apparently we do. I've completely messed up. That is awful. Whoops. I had a build that had 4 forests in. And obviously somewhere on the lines that got changed. And now we're looking like a bit of a clown. Okay. We have lots of swamps, I think, though. Survival of the Fittest. Yep, that's a pretty strong Magic Gathering card. Getting attacked here? No. So I can just shoot it for a bunch of things. Like, we can drop down this Oath, but it doesn't actually help us that much. Kind of need to get this morph out of the way. They're clearly not that bothered by the Cursed Totem. Maybe they have Octavia Orangutan, which can blow up the Cursed Totem. They can save this for our Oath. So we need to find additional Oaths. Or just a Sleeper Agent and sit behind the Constant Mist works too. Okay, I guess that is the plan. We'll play out our land. Play out our little friend. Enjoy your Sleeper Agent. We've got quite a lot of fogs available to us. Alright, we're going to see a lot of survivaling. So they're probably going to go get Squee, throw away Squee, turn it into something else. Yep, Anger. Sure. It doesn't matter which order they do this. So Anger, all their guys are going to have haste. Getting the Squee. I don't know if they've got a creature that allows them to prevent combat damage. I don't think there's one that stops them from having their combat damage prevented. I don't think there's one that exists in the format. I think Flaring Pain is the only real way of stopping it, and that's not going to be in their deck. And it's not tutorable either. Okay, so the Anger and the Squee are both ditched. And there's a Deranged Hermit over there. You got it. Is that all you want to do? They're flipping this up. This is good news for us. You've got your activated abilities again, but can you beat Infinite Constant Mists? Then we might add some forests into our deck after this game. They don't have a lot of life. We do just have the win if we can just keep the shields up on this Constant Mist. And if they attack into us, we can dome them for a bunch. Or we can just prevent all the damage. Priest of Titania. Yep, that taps for a lot of mana. But how are you getting through the fogs? There is the Hermit. You've got it. So they can go and get the Master Core and use the Master Core to ping down the Sleeper Agent. That's probably going to be their plan. Unless they boarded out the Master Core. Then how are they ever going to deal with the Sleeper Agent? They have a lot of mana. They're survivaling. Kamal, Fist of the Crozer. Sure, you can overrun your guys and make all the damages in the world. And we will answer it with a 2 mana instant. This is a trigger, so they would deal us damage and we could put damage to kill them on the stack. But it won't be good enough because we'll be dead first. However, we're going to prevent some combat damage. Fog, please. I feel a bit like a bad guy here. But we're doing something fun. And we win the match due to Constant Mists. Okay, pretty sweet. Let's go back to the deck list. We're going to add in some more forests. And we're going to remove these 2 fetch lands. We're going to add in one of these fetch lands and remove a swamp. Alright, we're making a little change there because somewhere along the lines I got too invested in the other stuff and I didn't do my due diligence with the mana base. Alright. Okay, we're into round 3. This very much does the thing. And that's what you all came here to see. We can fog for a while. We've got the elephant grass. Beautiful stuff. Do we play out the Sleeper Agent on 1? I think we do. This is about us clocking them quick enough, I think. But if we just get rocked by like a wasteland, then sure, we die. Are we getting Duress? Cabal Therapy. They're going to name Oath of Druids. I think that would be a pretty smart name here. They did name Oath of Druids. That is unfortunate for us. There is now a Sleeper Agent attacking us, and we have no way to capitalize on this. Obviously, this does hurt our opponent still, but it's not ideal, because it is dealing us more damage than it is dealing them. Now, we can certainly just protect ourselves, but it's not ideal, is it? Okay, I think we're just going to put an Elephant Grass in. Sit behind us for a few turns. So, cumulative upkeep of 1, so we can sit behind it for 2 turns. That's going to be 4 damage to our opponent. And then we've got... Okay, this is going to be good against our Moment's Peace. But we still get the first cast of it off. We'd like to draw another Sleeper Agent, please. Pay for our Elephant Grass. Did not draw another Sleeper Agent or a land. We are playing 25 lands, which is quite a lot for our relatively low curve. But I think it's important that we don't end up in situations where we can't sacrifice lands for our Constant Miss, which is the situation we're kind of in right now. Phyrexian Arena. Alright, our opponent is drinking deep from the well of their life total. Cabal Therapy. They're going to name Constant Mists. And they're going to hit 2 cards. Oh, they name Moment's Peace. Okay, that's fine. This means that we can get 1 off, potentially. I think we're still just going to pay... Oh no, there's no point paying for this Elephant Grass now because the thing's gone because they used it for the Cabal Therapy. That is an issue, isn't it? Alright, let's try and draw a card here. A Gaia's Blessing. I think we're going to shuffle in Oath of Druids, Sleeper Agent, Elephant Grass. While our opponent's tapped out of their Withered Wretch. We drew the swamp we wanted. Cabal Therapy is pretty good against us, as it turns out. I'm not expecting a Wasteland. We'd probably lose our only green source. Yep. We are getting absolutely pasted here. Phyrexian Furnace. Okay, I'll play that. I will exile a card from your graveyard. Exile a card from my graveyard. To draw a card. We're just looking for land here. I'll play a land. Okay, it also is the biggest creature on the board if we can get green mana. Which is not a given. We're going to discard one of these Constant Mists. Let's see what we're getting here. Another Hippie Spectre, and they're going to activate the factory here. No? Are they just going to remove both of our Moment's Pieces? They've got a reason for having this mana up. Alright. A Cursed Scroll. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's not combat damage. We're on 8. It all looked so good from our opening hand. A Duress. Sure, I guess we have to Duress our opponent here. A Withered Wretch. Okay. I think we are Constant Mists, Sacrifice, Dust Bowl. Feels horrible. We can't hold up around the Moment's Peace because our opponent's just going to shred them all. Because we tapped out, it meant that they could take another card and not have to take the Moment's Peace because we didn't have the mana to cast it. Right, here come the clowns. Okay, we live to fight another turn. Well, therapy. That's a real pain for us. We can constant mists again, but I don't think we get to sacrifice our land this time around. 2 cards in hand. What are they? Withered Wretch and Graveborn Muse. Right, we didn't get hit for damage. That's nice. Yep, we take out our Moment's Peace. They have lethal on board, so we are in a bit of trouble. I don't think we're going to be able to get through all of these Phyrexian Arena triggers and make our opponent bleed out that way. I think we just need to draw a real card. Okay, that's a lot of Cursed Scroll action, and there is a Withered Wretch as well. Alright, deck. Be good to me. It was not good to me. We are very dead there. Okay, that was not great. So, Wall of Souls looks real good here. And Akroma is probably the best thing that we can get off of our Oath here, so I think we just stick with that. We could bring in a Null Rod just to shut down Cursed Totem. That doesn't feel great. I would rather have the Naturalizer that can also hit the arena if that's the thing we need to hit. I don't like the Stupor here. I'm not big into the Duresses. I think they're fine, but it's not really what this game is about. So let's have a couple more Naturalize. And do I want a Smother in there over this last Duress? I think so. We could board in something like a Tormod's Crypt in order to hit their Cabal therapies, but I think the Phyrexian Furnace are actually, we don't need the Meekstone. We can probably have a Crypt over that, couldn't we? And that just gives us... Actually, if they're playing like the Rack in their deck, we probably want something that gains a boatload of life, right? So let's put the Ancestor's Chosen in. I think this deck should have more Grand Coliseum, so it's easier to cast your Ancestor's Chosen when you board them in. We're learning as we go. This was obviously a brew. I don't think we can keep this one. It has lands, but we need like a game plan. Okay, that's a good game plan. I will keep this. And what are we putting back? Is it the Elephant Grass or is it one of the walls? So, I think it's one of the walls. So, if our opponent has access to a flyer, we want to have the Elephant Grass to like stop Hippie. Wasteland, of course. Goodbye, land that we were hoping to use. Hello, land that we can use. If our opponent wants to do the same thing again next turn, that's not the worst. It gives us more turns to draw into our combo of sorts. Alright, we're getting Duress. Or is it just Dark Ritual Hippie? Arena, that's fine. So we can get the library in now, which is really important. They might have Dystopia in their deck, which is something that routinely comes back to bite me when I'm playing decks like that look like this. A Withered Wretch, sure. Get my library on. A Dust Bowl, a Smother. We don't need the Dust Bowl. That can go on top. I don't really need the Tangle right now, but do I want to just start drawing through these so we can... Yeah, I think I do want to just start drawing through these. So, what is the play here? Swamp. Wall of Souls? I don't think we need the Elephant Grass out just yet. So the Smother can clean up with a Wretch if we need to be worried about that. And we've got a few turns of Fog built into this Elephant Grass. A Smother on my poor defense's wall. Very rude. Okay. Library, do your job. An Oath of Druids. Okay, that is exactly what we're looking for. So we'll put these on top. We don't need these. Let's go for the Oath. I want an Elephant Grass in now. We can just sit behind it for a few turns. I don't really want it getting discarded out of my hand, so I'm just going to drop the Elephant Grass. This gives us more permanents to sacrifice to a Dystopia. If that's what they have. I think this is enough to get us through this game. We've also got the Tangle, which is another 2 turns of Fog, pretty much. Our opponent's getting a lot of cards off this library because we're giving them time. So they've gone past the cards they expended for the Arena and the Dark Ritual. So they're getting a lot of cards off this. Alright, what is your solution? Is it killing your own guy so the Oath doesn't trigger? Diabolic Edict. Targeting themselves. Yep. That's a play you're allowed to make. Sure, I'll pay 1 here. I'll pay it with a forest. Dust Bowl, and then we go into library. I'll take... I don't really want this Dust Bowl. Don't really want this Swamp. We don't really have a good way of shuffling it either. So we could take this arena out, or we could save this for the Cursed Totem, which is kind of something I'm more... Sorry, not the Cursed Totem, the Cursed Scroll, which is a bigger worry to me, I think. So this will find them multiple scrolls. No, I think we just wait for the scroll. A Duress. Okay, I guess that is not what we're doing anymore. They're obviously going to take the Naturalize if we leave it in our hands. We may as well take out a permanent I was considering taking out. Alright, goodbye, Smother. Dystopia. You got it. Cursed Scroll. So there's a scroll that I wanted to hit with my thing, so I think I was right with my play on this. Okay, my abilities go on the stack, then my opponent's abilities go on the stack, then we sacrifice the Elephant Grass. And we library. Moment's Peace. I think we're in a situation where we're just having to draw through more cards here. Let's play this out. Probably lose the Oath of Druids soon. Yeah, they don't make hate cards like this anymore. Cabal Therapy. Sure. They're going to name the card they know about, which is Tangle. This also leaves a Cabal Therapy in their yard, which is horrible news for us. They could also target themselves to get their hand empty for Cursed Scroll. Ravenous Rats. You got it. And then they can sack the rats to the therapy to take this Moment's Peace if they want. Sure, I didn't need cards in hand. That's fine. So we lose the Oath this turn. And we're drawing into a factory. Not great. Just a bunch of blanks. Alright, we have a win condition that dies to our opponent's Cursed Scroll. I assume they pay again just because the value of getting us to sacrifice this library is certainly worth the life for them. 4 mana. A Graveborn Muse. Yep, that is a good piece of card advantage. Our opponent's version of this mono black list looks really good. I think this is the one that did really well at a tournament recently. So we take 3 and then we take 2. Yeah, we're just dead because we know the top card as well. Yeah, we got very, very beaten there. Cabal Therapy, excellent against us for sure. On to round 4. Alright, our opener has Oath of Druids, which is kind of essential for what we're trying to do, so I'll keep that. An Island Portent, which is the Premodern equivalent to Island Ponder. I think, interestingly, we might be looking at playing the Mishra's Factory on 1, so if our opponent just holds up blue-blue for counterspell, we just get him for 2 damage instead. Hello, Akroma. You're not what I want to see. We'll play the factory out. This way, if our opponent just tries to play counterspells, we get free damage in. A Mox Diamond. Is this going to be some sort of Miracle Grow deck? I'm going to see like a Quiron Dryad. Start growing it. Because then we could jam an Oath of Druids potentially, but Daze is a card that exists. Ah, Mishra's Factory getting Wastelanded, eh? Goodbye. Alright, Grand Coliseum. In you go. A Portent, sure. No follow-up land for our opponent. The Oath of Druids isn't even good right now, so I think we're just going to get our lands in and keep playing around dazes and things. We have 2 Grand Coliseum. We don't have a third one, so Castle Akroma is not really on the menu. We've got 2 islands. Right, Treetop Village, in you come. And we don't need to do anything else here. Mox Diamond, Island. This could be like land still, with some Mox Diamonds in. That would certainly be within the realms of possibilities. I'm still not super familiar with all the decks that exist in this format. They clearly have Counterspell as well. Unless they're only fetching islands, so why are they running fetch lands if they're not actually going to fetch their white mana? Gush. Sure. So they might actually have white spells, they just need the island count to be high for things like Daze and Gush. Armageddon. Okay. We got lands in our hands. I guess we'll continue to play some lands out. Next time we can blow up their Mox Diamond, perhaps. A Meddling Mage. You've got it. What are we going to name here? And are we playing around Daze? I think we are playing around Daze. Oath of Druids. Sure. How does everyone know I'm playing Oath of Druids today? Let's get rid of this Mox Diamond. There is the Daze that we expected. Are we just really cold to Meddling Mage? Is that a thing we can realistically beat here? Right, we have 8-man lands. That's kind of our way of getting through a Meddling Mage. It doesn't feel great. Definitely some holes in our deck here. A Treetop Village, you say? Okay. Like, we can still just play Sleeper Agents and Fogs, and that works. Portent, sure. And the damage is beginning to rumble. A Duress. Yes, I would like to Duress my opponent. See if we can get in with our Treetop Village. Opt, Counterspell, Mana Leak. And there's another Meddling Mage over there. Maybe it's the Opt, just stop them finding more stuff. We're quite content to just keep bashing them, I think. So we hit them for 3, they hit us for 2. Then they also play out another guy. Dromar's Cavern, that's an Esper land. That's Esper colours, so you have to bounce a non-lair land. Or sack it when it comes in. Pretty cool. Good for doing Armageddon-y things as well. There is the Mage. Pernicious Deed. Have any of those. So they hit us down to 14. We hit them down to 12. They hit us down to 10. So we're losing that race. Unless we can find enough lands to get things going. So I guess we are on blocks now. And we're just going to stare at each other for a bit. It'd be nice if we had Pernicious Deeds, but they didn't really work with what we're trying to accomplish here. So that's the island they bounced earlier. Another Meddling Mage. Good luck naming stuff in my deck at this point. We are on quite a lot of nonsense. They might just name like Naturalize or Duress or something. Call of the Herd, yep. So they got 1 out of 3, right? But we're holding them back. A forest. So we can attack and do constant miss stuff, but that doesn't feel great. I think we're just staring at each other until we can find something. Look, we won a round. What more can you ask for from this deck, right? And it was against a good deck. It was against elves. I really don't want to lose any of their meddling mages. A constant mists. A swamp. So we are in full Esper. So this is like Fincula. Whatever people call it. So it's probably got Shadow Mage Infiltrators in as well. A Stupor. I do like the sound of casting that. It will just get mana leaked. But that's okay. So we use the mana leak now because it's convenient. But we get that out of their hand at least. And we were going to go to discard anyway. So we actually managed to have a resource that was worth something here. And then we can try and counter their combat damage here. Right, we're going to cast this Tangle, I think. I don't want them seeing our constant mist and naming it with like a meddling mage. Alright, they're just letting that happen. So that buys us a bit of time. So these aren't going to untap next turn. So we can actually get some damage in. A Gaia's Blessing. In we come. Gaia's Blessing target me. What would I like to have back in my deck here? I would like 2 man lands and a Duress probably, or a Stupor. Probably a Stupor here. Is this going to resolve? It's basically just a cantrip for the most part, so I don't think they care about this. They're pretty disciplined on not burning it on a piece of damage prevention. So, right, we drew a Mishra's Factory. I will take that. So their creatures don't untap, so we can bash for 5 this turn. That puts them to 7. A Gush. Yep, that's a pretty good Magic the Gathering card. Armageddon. Yep. That doesn't feel great for me. Definitely some real fun police decks in the format. And certainly feels like we've run into one here. I'll play a Mishra's Factory. I'm worried we don't have enough stuff for a matchup like this. So we're going to take 6. If we draw a land, we can fog with the Mishra's Factories. They're probably not going to want to attack into a 3-3 factory. Or technically a 4-4 factory. We could also block the wrong card to give them ideas. Like if we think we're losing this one, we could like prioritize blocking the Call of the Herd. And maybe they like really focus in on that and sideboard something we don't have. Are we going to have a third Armageddon? We are going to have a third Armageddon. Okay. I don't really want to keep playing after getting Armageddon 3 times. Okay. So, what looks useful here? Ways of killing meddling mage is kind of important. And I like the Stupor. We don't need as many protection spells. So we can get rid of like Elephant Grass and Meekstone here. I don't really like Akroma when they're just going to have a bunch of Swords to Plowshares. Do we want access to Wall of Souls over some of these bits and pieces? I think so. The Tangle or the Moment's Peace more? We'll just go down this way. We'll still keep a couple of Naturalize in. Okay. We're just going to get killed by our opponent's Armageddoning, aren't we? Right, let's get our Treetop Village in. So they're going to get a Sleeper Agent and then Armageddon us, and we're going to have a horrible time. Alright, a Wasteland. Not what we want to see. That's our green source is gone. Alright, we have another one. Let's play this. Armageddons and Wasteland together at last to ruin my day. To be fair, that's the sort of Magic I like to play, so I can't chastise other people for blowing up others' lands. Oath of Druids. We can't cast that one. I'll save this so we can shuffle if we find a library later on. I'm not just going to play the Sleeper Agent out because if it's in play, we are losing the game. This requires us to do something else for it to be worthwhile. We know Daze is a card in their deck as well. Let me just continue here. I would like to get Stupor off. It's a good way of denying our opponent some resources there. A Weathered Wayfarer. Sure, not a fan of that one. If we draw a green source, we can deploy the Oath around Daze. We did draw the green source. They're going to be very disappointed when they see a wall of souls come off of our Oath of Druids. Oh, they had an annul. Okay, sure, that works too. But I think we have to go for it when Mana Leak and Daze are both not options they can have there. So they've got Mana Leak, Daze, Counterspell, and Annul. That's so many things. And then they can always just tutor up Wastelands with this. If we play more lands. Okay, we got nothing. Yeah, this is really making our deck feel very poor, a matchup like this. A forest, you say? Would I rather Stupor or get a Sylvan Library in? I would like a library, I think. So our opponent can crack this fetch land, and in response, they can then Weather Wayfarer as well, now that we have 3 lands. It's just a good little draw engine. So they have to use a real spell on this. Our opponent missed the control step to get the Weather Wayfarer. I think we need the help here, though, so... Mana Leak. I cannot pay. But sometimes the only way out is right through. We're getting Armageddon, I think. It is the Armageddon. Alright, this is not the most enjoyable for us. Alright, we'll take one from the Weather Wayfarer. We have a land. It's going to get wastelanded. I can feel it already, but here we are. So if they have a Mox Diamond, they can go Mox Diamond, activate this, go and get a wasteland. Alright, that didn't happen. That's okay. We're still taking damage here. We're a long way off from actually achieving anything. So I want to just start getting my opponent's life total down. No, I don't think we do. We can draw stuff like a land to get the Stupor off, and that would be quite nice. Are they missing on lands? Blue and blue. Void Mage Prodigy. Sacrifice a wizard, counter target spell. Opponent's got a bunch of cards in hand over there. Let's try and reduce the number of cards they have. Oh, they did have a Daze as well for good measure. Yikes, they've really had it all this game. Now, they did have a Gush, which does draw you a bunch of extra cards. But I don't think if our opponent had chosen what they drew each turn, they could have had much better here. It's pretty sketchy for us. The Grand Coliseum. Is it time to start our nonsense? I don't think it is. Maybe it is, though. No, our opponent's on such a high life total. Maybe just our nonsense just doesn't work, and we're supposed to board it all out and try something else a bit more transformative from the sideboard. That is a Mox Diamond. We can destroy that. I don't think they're going to want to attack into our Treetop. They haven't used a plow yet, and they almost certainly have them in the deck. Right, so I'm going to get a Wasteland here, and I'm going to Wasteland my Treetop Village. And then I'm going to try and get rid of their only white source. Oh, they got plains. Interesting. I guess they want to have a source that can keep activating the Wayfarer around. They shouldn't attack into our 3/3. Our opponent agrees. Let's fire in a Naturalize. Duress is interesting, but I do have an onboard answer for any sort of spell that we might fire at them. Alright, let's just see what they're cooking with. We take the Gush. They've got a selection of good cards. What do we need to do here? We play Sleeper Agent. They can pay blue and counter a spell that we have, but that's fine. Alright, so we're in it now. Do you want to trade your Void Mage Prodigy for my Sleeper Agent? In their upkeep, I will fire in a moment's peace, I think. Enjoy. This is not a wizard, at least, so probably doesn't have an easy route to sacrificing it. Before they draw anything here, we're just going to fire in this moment's peace. So if they want to stop this, they have to lose their Void Mage Prodigy, so we still save 2 damage on the attack, at least. Alright. We'll leave our graveyard popped out, since we're going to be dipping into there to use some spells soon. Put it to Delta, we're going to see a Swamp into Shadow Mage Infiltrator. So they've got like Wastelands, Armageddon in their 3-colour deck. Oh, they didn't even get a Swamp here. Meddling Mage. They're going to name at Moment's Peace because it's face up in the graveyard. But little do they know that we have other nonsense. Oh, they named Oath of Druids still. I guess they can just sacrifice something when they need to. Okay, I'll play a land out that we can sacrifice to our Constant Mists. Let's go for a Fog. We have successfully fogged. So the one with buyback is a lot more likely to get countered because they get to take something along with it. And they don't need to ever tap out of counterspell via the Voidmid Prodigy. There it is. A moment's peace. Okay. Let's continue to do this nonsense. Again, I think we do it now when our opponent doesn't have access to another card off the top. Alright, we just prevented it. I take 2 from the Sleeper Agent. We are slowly doing the thing where the Wayfarer is looking for something. Is it a wasteland? It's an island. Okay, why do they want triple island? Armageddon, you say? Okay. That seems very bad for us. As per usual. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they have lethal. And I don't know what we can draw here. A swamp. Yep. We got absolutely smashed apart there. That did not feel remotely close. Yikes. Let's go to the final round and see if we can get a 2-3. Okay, there is an interesting line where we just strip all of our opponent's resources and then try and win with what's left. I'm okay for that. Important. Uh-oh. Are we going to get our important spells countered so our deck doesn't do anything again? I don't know if we can even run something like a Xantid Swarm to help us out either. Alright, it's Duress time. Counterspell, Swords to Plowshares. Okay, we're playing Counter Sliver. Goodbye, Counterspell. I enjoy resolving my spells. I enjoy preventing damage. Don't care if you have Shroud. Should be Crystalline. There it is. Right, I think we just need to get a card in here. Right, so we have our next land drop. So we can strip out our opponent's remaining resources with the Stupor or 2. Sliver. Yeah, this is why there's no point holding back the factory to block because they're just going to bash us for 2 here. Holding up a plow. That's not a thing we care a lot about. It does kill our little friend that we're relying on. 3 cards in hand. I think we want to Stupor here. We've got time and life here. And we've got Plated Sliver out. It's only 3 a turn. I can live with that. Alright, Treetop Village. That's fine. So we can Stupor again this turn. And then the next turn we can double spell. Lose the rest of your hand, please, opponent. Muscle Sliver. That's a very big one to keep away from us because that can dramatically increase their clock. So we're going to take 3. And then hopefully we can stabilize a little bit here. Another Stupor. Not quite the one we're after. Sylvan Library, please. And then in their upkeep, I will Moment's Peace before they draw extra cards. Alright, we're not taking any damage this turn. We did take one from our Llanowar Wastes, which is annoying, but we're in an okay spot now. Blue and blue. A Gush. Yeah, good cards are good. The old 3-colour deck with Gushes. It's a bold play. They've still got blue-blue floating. I don't know if they have anything to do with that. No, okay. No point attacking. We got our library here. We need them to play a Muscle Sliver now. Okay, we have one of the things we want. Put on top. Put on top. Alright, we're attempting to do the thing here. And then we'll flash back this Moment's Peace in our opponent's upkeep. Alright, it resolved. So we're not dead. Excellent. Big fan of still being alive. We need our Sylvan Library to help us out a little bit here. Grand Coliseum is okay. Another Sleeper Agent though. Okay, so put the Meekstone on top. And the Coliseum. I guess we could have done that the other way around. Might have been a little more sensible. Alright. Enjoy another Sleeper Agent. We are attempting to do the thing. We do collapse to a counterspell pretty easily. I think in our opponent's upkeep we're going to cast this with buyback. Okay, it resolved. So we've got 4 damage a turn coming in. That's pretty good. Flooded Strand. So we can play a Meekstone. That shuts down some of the damage. But we're still just dead if they connect, so it's not the most important thing to be doing. We just need to keep making land drops. We got 4 turns before our opponent dies to this. So we're going to need to keep hitting lands off this library to stay in it. Alright, Naturalize, we don't need you. We don't need this Meekstone. Play this Grand Coliseum. And then in our opponent's upkeep, we will attempt to buy back this Mist again. We'll keep our coloured sources. Alright, it worked. So we're getting 4 damage in. 3 more turns of this. We have 2 more turns queued up right now. Oh wow, they're scooping to it. Nice. Like if they just draw a counterspell at any point we lose, so I think they should still play this out because they've shown us they're running actual factual counterspell. But I will take a game win wherever I can get one. Slivers, you say. Blowing up all their islands is fine, but not really great because they're a 3-colour deck. I like having a flyer quite a bit. Also like having the life gain. We don't need Furnace here. The Meekstone does some work if they get the pumping guy out. I don't really think this is a Naturalize matchup. Wall of Souls doesn't do anything when they have the Winged Sliver. Are we supposed to plan for them having Winged Sliver, or are we supposed to just say it's fine? I think I would like another Stupor so we can get through the counter magic. Do you want 2 Wall of Souls? I don't think so. I think we just want like something that gains us a bunch of life. Which of these is better at doing that? Probably the Ancestor's Chosen, weirdly. Because, oh, actually, we can have them both, couldn't we? That's also fine. Like, boarding and removal against the Crystalline Sliver deck is weird. The fact that we actually have options just with our prevent damage is fine. Tangle is going to be pretty nice, tapping them down for turn. This doesn't have mana that plays the game, so we have to send it back. I don't like this too much. The Mishra's Factory can block them for a while until they get like Muscle Sliver or Wing Sliver. I think we can do... Are we just mulling to Oath maybe? Double Sleeper Agent, Constant Mists. I think this is what the people want to see, isn't it? I'll keep this. I guess we put back Grand Coliseum. It's just worse than Llanowar Wastes for us. And then Swamp. We could have just kept Swamp and Treetop Village, but if we want access to green, then we have to work for it. Let's get the village in. Crystalline Sliver. This is why we don't board in removal. Sweepers, though. Sweepers good, but removal not so much. A Stupor. We can attempt that shortly, depending on how many cards our opponent has left in hand after this turn. They play one thing. Thran Quarry. Taps for mana of any colour, but if they don't have creatures, then it goes away. Okay, we're already, like, under the gun here. We don't have time to Stupor or anything. Our last chance to draw an Oath of Druids. I didn't draw the Oath of Druids. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But because we're tapping lands, it doesn't work. So we probably need to... The Mishra's Factory can't block very well this turn. I think we go Factory, Agent, and then we're in the fog zone again. Alright, we've managed to successfully fog. We went through a lot of hoops to deal our opponent 2 damage. Winged Sliver. So the Mishra's Factory doesn't do anything anymore. A Stupor. Let's play this out. Tap for black. Give them a Sleeper Agent. I think we're going to lose this one, but we're going to give it a college try. In our opponent's upkeep, we're going to miss because we are dead on board. I don't know how we get out of this situation. We just have to draw nothing but lands the rest of the game. That's the only way we can win this one. It's obviously pretty scary. Or we can draw Fog Effects. Or sacrifice a land that hurts us. Not that it really matters when they have so much damage out there. Alright. We put our opponent to at least 6 with what we have in hand. Another land or another Fog Effect changes things. Weird. Weird game, this one. It's not a land. Okay. We need to make a decision. Do we think it's more likely that we draw a Fog Effect or a land? Probably more likely to draw a land. We have to go buyback, sacrifice a swamp, hopefully draw a land next turn, and then the turn after. We didn't, we die. Okay. Well, we put up a little fight there, but it didn't quite work out for us. I like these Duresses. I think Duress so we can get something in next turn is fine. I think we just send it like it is here. Would like to draw my Oath of Druids. It's clearly the most broken card in our deck. Okay, we don't have green mana. That is an issue. That is a real issue here. We do have the double Stupor. I think we have to mulligan though for green mana. Sad as that is. Oath of Druids. Okay, we keep this one. And you can get to the bottom of our deck. Alright, Treetop Village. They'll play out like a plated sliver ideally, and then we play an Oath of Druids. I think they're incentivized to commit to the board early, which helps us out in a big way. City of Brass. Duress. No! My Oath of Druids! Oh, no. We'll just draw off the top again. It'll be fine. Why weren't you listening to me, deck? Are we just playing a Sleeper Agent and get pounded? I don't think so. We don't want to have to start the we need to fog every turn part of the game this early. A Mists. Yeah, that's the sort of card that we are looking for when we do start doing our nonsense. We're running 25 lands. Why can't we draw more? Right, I'm just going to play a very, very slow game here by the looks of things. A Plated Sliver still holding up Counterspell. They might just Counterspell a Sleeper Agent here. A Duress, okay. That is a spell that is worth me casting. Let's see what you got. Oh, they're counterspelling our Duress. Interesting. Just let me Oath of Druids, please, opponent. Reflecting Pool plus City of Brass. Very nice. Muscle Sliver. It's a big boy. And another Muscle Sliver. Okay, so Meekstone is the best draw in our deck. So please let me have a Meekstone. One-time deck. Be a friend. Oath of Druids is pretty good, though. I'll take the Oath of Druids. And then we are in Fogtown from that point onwards, I think. Do they have Naturalizes? They've got Counter Spells, Hand Disruption, Essence Sliver. So this is the life gain sliver. Sure. So we're going to take 9 here. And that's hopefully the last damage we ever take. I wouldn't mind drawing a swamp. Or any land, really. So we can get the Sleeper Agent in at the same time. Just fogging. We have an Akroma. I'll attack my opponent for a bunch. Do they want to attack into this? They probably do. Okay, so we go to blocks. Okay, we deal first strike. And then we Moment's Peace. So we get to kill their creatures. And they don't get to kill ours. Line Sliver. They also stop them gaining life. I think we can win this one. If we can draw a land, that would really help. Winged Sliver. Okay. Right, you get Sleeper Agent over there. I will attack. This has first strike, so it's not really a great one for them to chump block. They're not going to gain any life. And then in their upkeep, because they don't have anything going on, we can Moment's Peace. No card in hand. They're going to have to start throwing stuff under the bus soon. Oh, are we doing it? Are we really doing it? It feels like we are so close. Can't draw a land to save my life. And they're playing out lands, which is very reassuring for us. Have a little Sleeper Agent again. All right. We managed to win the game. Living the dream. Okay. So, at the end of the league, we finished 2-3, which is not a great record, but obviously this was just a bit of a brew. We got absolutely demolished by the white-blue deck. It didn't feel like we could do anything against the blue decks because we got a few spells we're trying to resolve, and if they just counter the right ones, then we're not doing anything, and we can even help them because the Sleeper Agent on its own is a little bit sketchy. So what you could do with this deck, if you wanted to, would be to go more into things like Howling Mine and Black Vice. So you've got another way of dealing damage and you're just turbo fogging people. Now your opponent's going to end up with a big grip full of cards there, so you're going to have to work out how to get around it. We can't play Defense Grid because we need to cast fogs in our opponent's turn. I don't think we can play things like Xantid Swarm either. So I'm not really sure what the solution there is, unless you can try and make this a 3-color deck and get your own counter spells to fight on the stack with, which is an option. I'm not really sure it's the best option, but we could try that as well. I don't know. We did something a bit weird today, and it was quite fun, and I hope you enjoyed it. So let me know what you think of this one. Do you want to see more weird and wonderful brews? Have you got any ideas of how to improve this one? Like, subscribe, and all the good things, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.